The world's tech giants got off to a flying start in the first 3 months of this year. Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon all beat market expectations in their earnings, but there are signs the rest of the year may not be as rosy. Twitter posted a profit for the second consecutive quarter, while its revenue jumped by a fifth. But it's warning it will face increasingly difficult comparables in the second half of 2018. Facebook's profit jumped 63% to $5 billion, despite the controversy over its users' data being harvested by Cambridge Analytica. But analysts say ad revenues will take a hit as advertisers distance themselves from the scandal. More money from advertising and its Whole Foods business helped Amazon more than double net income to $1.6 billion. But analysts expect the bottom line to thin out as increases in spending on new businesses. So for more on this is Rich Jaroslavsky. He joins me from San Francisco. He's Vice President for Content and Chief Journalist at the news app Smart News. Rich, great to have you on Money Talks, as ever. Let's talk about these tech giants, solid sales and profits at these companies, but input costs are going up, aren't they? As oil prices come up, interest rates are also going up. How much are these headwinds going to affect them into the rest of 2018 and into 19?
The fundamental question is whether or not they're beyond what we currently expect. I think people are looking at rising inflation, rising input costs, and the interest rate increases that the U.S. Federal Reserve have already signaled are kind of baked in the cake in the comments that each of the companies made about their future prospects. The real question is whether there will be surprises beyond what's already kind of anticipated.
Okay. Let's turn the perspective around for a second. Let's look at it from the point of view of the people who work in these companies. Higher profits at companies don't always translate to higher wages, do they?
No, we've seen that in the U.S. Continuously for many years now. Even when corporate profits have been doing very well, hourly wages have been largely stagnant. Lately, they've shown some signs of just creeping up a little bit, but they are still there's still a huge disparity between the corporate profit growth and how individuals are doing, probably in the U.S. exacerbated by the most recent tax bill.
Let's talk about Europe for a second. The European Union is putting in place these tighter data privacy rules, especially from the point of view of companies like Facebook and Twitter and perhaps Google as well. How are these tighter rules going to affect them going forwards?
Well, certainly they will increase the cost of compliance significantly. So there's one impact right there. The real question is whether or not these new rules will impede these companies in terms of what they try to do with data and and the profits they generate from that data. And that kind of remains to be seen. As with so many of these things, the devil will be in the details. If it's simply a question of increased compliance costs, I think the companies will just regard that as a cost of doing business. So far, there's been precious little evidence that the scandals, for example, involving Facebook and its use of data or misuse of data, there's little evidence it has actually affected Facebook's profits. They came in very, very strongly. The question is going to be whether or not these new rules, whatever the specifics of them turn out to be, will actually limit what Facebook can do in terms of its money-making abilities.
Rich, I'm sure you remember the dot-com boom and then bust of 2000. We were all there. But do these results that we're seeing now, does that put the tech sector in a completely different place? Because back then, companies weren't really making money, were they?
No, they were not making money. And there's always a temptation to try to see the present through the prism of the past. But the fact is the world's very different now. In 2000, it was a madcap rush for revenue growth, for adding users. And the general attitude was, well, profits don't matter, they'll come later. That's a very different environment now. What we're seeing now is what's fueling the current boom is actually profits. Facebook beat expectations, Amazon beat expectations, Twitter made money and is going to start hiring again. The bigger concern right now on Wall Street is, will these companies spend too much of the profits that they're making on hiring people and expanding the business? But the big difference right now is that this boom, if you want to call it that, is not based on, it's not a revenue boom, it's a profit boom.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Rich Jaroslavsky, thank you so much.